everybody. It's been a long time since I made a video, so I'm in complete editing mode right now, and so for that reason I want to share a few videos of me while I'm editing. This one just super simple, and I may have actually even showed this before, but I want to reiterate things again because a lot of images I just kind of do the same thing too. Um, so this is a zoomed in shot of the mom and daughter. And mom, I just want to do a little touch up to her and just make her look clean. Daughter looks really good. She just has a little bit of discoloration, so I'm just going to clean that up as well. So just wanted to show you guys. Another thing I wanted to show you is how I switch back and forth from Lightroom to Photoshop. Now, some of you guys don't have Lightroom, and that's fine. Like, if I only had one thing, I would definitely have Photoshop because, as I mentioned before in one of the workshops, Photoshop can do more than Lightroom can as far as retouching goes. And Lightroom is really just a batch editing software that I just apply tones to across the board or exposures across the board. I've already taken a lot of images down here and applied the same color tone to them. So now my workflow is that I would take the ones that need them, into Photoshop to do any further retouching because, as I mentioned, I cannot do that in Lightroom, which is why I would not have Lightroom alone. So one thing I used to do is edit everything first in Lightroom and then export it out and then pull it into Photoshop. And I didn't realize that I was wasting a ton of time because Lightroom has this cool thing where you can actually right click on an image like I just did and choose the edit in option. Now, some of you have downloaded Nik Color Effects Pro from the last workshop. That's in here. I can edit straight from Lightroom in Color Effects Pro. However, I prefer to do it in Photoshop because then I can create a layer or create a brush. So I'm going to take this. Now I have two different versions of Photoshop, so I have to make sure and select the right one. I'm working all in the Photoshop CC right now, so I'm going to say Edit in Photoshop CC. And I'm going to show you why it saves me a ton of time to do it this way in a little bit. So I'm going to click Edit in Photoshop CC. It's going to take a little bit of time to open up into Photoshop. Sometimes I may edit more than one image at a time like this, so I would select like maybe 3 images and open them all in Photoshop. I don't open much more than 3 images at a time because I do find that my computer crashes if I edit. If I try to open up, say, like 20 images into Photoshop, it's too much for it to handle. So now we've got this image opened into Photoshop. And so what I'm going to do is touch up around mom's eyes. So I'm going to zoom in, take the zoom tool, zoom in a little bit into her eyes. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what I would do. Okay? Now the first thing that's bothering me is, sorry, that's Gabriel in the background. The first thing that's bothering me is the spot healing, is the hair in the eye hair. So I'm going to take the spot healing brush. Now, one thing with a spot healing brush you'll notice is that it's very finicky. Like if I was to have it at a really big size and run across the eye, it would really screw things up. All right. So the trick to this brush is really getting it at the right size. Now, it'll take out this little wrinkle here, no problem, at that size. And it'll take out some blemishes here, no problem at that size. But when I get into these areas like the eye that's super detailed, the clone or the spot healing brush is trying to look around it to see patterns. So it's easy for me to go onto the skin with a bigger brush and do this and kind of remove little blemishes. I never remove moles. I just remove little discoloration patterns or things that like we like to say, are temporary. I'm going to come down here and go ahead and take out some of her little discoloration. Again, it's hard to tell sometimes if somebody has a freckle or if it's a little bump, so I just take it out if I'm in doubt. So I'm going to go back up here to mom, and we're going to worry about this little hair here. So the trick to this hair is I got to get my brush the right size. If I was to run it at this uh, width, it's going to mess things up. So I already know this. I've got my history tool panel open, so I'm going to go back one and remove what I just did. That's a lifesaver for you guys. So now we're going to right click anywhere on the screen, and here where it pulls up my brush size. So now I can drag this down and I'm pulling it out so I can see how little or big it is. And I just really want the brush size to be the size of the hair, okay? As small as humanly possible. This size, maybe even just a tad bit smaller. And what I like to do is just run over one area at a time. And if I see any mess up like that, I just go back and do it again. So I'm going to just kind of dot in this area a little bit to clean it up. So that's where the white area is. So now we're going to go into the iris. So I'm going to treat this as one little section and just kind of drag. That looks good. I'm going to come up here, just drag over the lid and stop. Drag over this area and stop. And now drag over the brow and stop. Okay. Now this little light hair also bothers me, so I'm making my brush a little bit bigger because now we're in the hair pattern. And I'm just going to roll over that entire little strand. Now it's impossible for me to get all these little light strands, although they are distracting. It was a very windy day. It is, you know, April, so we can't control the wind. So, but I will try to go in here and remove lighter strands that are just a little distracting if I possibly can. One great tool to have and invest in is called portraiture, because you can actually run portraiture over your entire image, and it does help a lot to smooth hair. Okay, so, and as you see, I'm just gonna come in here and kind of work with this little strand just a little bit, if it'll let me. Again, sometimes it's just not gonna work. Well, I think we got that pretty good. All right, so now Mom has much less distracting hair in her face. Can't say much for the top of her head, but I'm not really concerned with that today. We are going to go in and lighten these under eyes, okay? I do this to every single portrait that's close up like this, so please take note. I'm going to go into the clone tool. Clone tool looks like a little rubber stamp. Make sure I've got the clone stamp tool selected and not the pattern stamp tool selected. And very important, usually this is defaulted to normal, and up here at the top it'll be defaulted to normal and 100% opacity. We're going to change that to lighten, and we're going to drop this down to about 40%. All right, this is the magic number for me for retouching under the eyes. And what that does is it's telling it, instead of cloning at full strength and cloning directly at normal blending mode, I'm telling it to go to lighten mode, which means it's going to take the pattern that I'm cloning and it's going to clone it just a little bit lighter toned. And it's also not going to clone at full opacity. It's going to clone at 40% opacity. And what this does is it gives us a more natural retouching. So just to demonstrate the difference, I'm going to take normal at 100%, the default, and show you guys the difference. I'm going to do this eye in normal. I'm going to do this eye in lighten, just so you see. So if I was just to leave it at normal and clone across this little under eye, I would select by holding down Alt and left clicking right underneath the eyeball, and then come up here and run across. It's too much automatically, you guys see. Now, it's funny because this is what I used to do. I used to clone at these full strengths, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and everybody looked plastic, and I just didn't know any other way. But then the longer I was in the business and was watching videos and just learning different things, I learned how to tone it down. So that's by going into Lighten, going to 40. Now, if I alt-click down here, I always alt-click just down here on the skin. We're just sampling what area we want to clone. Come up here and run across. I may do it 2 or 3 times just to kind of, it's just much more natural. I mean, everyone has these little patterns under their eyes, so if you completely remove them, they don't look normal anymore. And leaving it at this opacity right here is perfectly acceptable and looks more natural and normal. I mean, you can automatically tell, right? So I'm going to fix this little eyeliner issue here with the spot healing brush because that's bothering me now. Right, I'm going to zoom out and we're going to look how much natural this eye looks than this eye. Okay, so now we're going to go back in and fix that eye. And since I didn't make a layer mask or...
You're not even talking to him.
I am. I'm on video right now. So please be quiet. Thank you. Sorry about that. So to fix this, since I didn't make a layer mask to turn it off, I'm just going to go to the history brush and make my brush big and just run it over the eye. And oh, let's make it 100% to make sure that it takes and erases everything. Oh, it erased that hair. So actually, let's go back and just do under the eye to get just under the eye. Of course, it's going to pull back in that hair, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to go fix that little hair real quick. Remember, I just do little sections at a time. Wherever the skin changes is where I'm clicking and unclicking. Looks like this hair might come back. Okay, so now we're going to go back to clone, lighten 40%. I always check this because I do switch it back and forth to normal. I may be cloning something out in the grass and I do want that 100% out. But right now we're retouching, so we want it at 40. Alt, run it across, and call it a day. Zoom it back out. Now, this was a mini session event, and so I'm not going to spend a lot of time retouching people for mini session events. But if she was a normal portrait client, I would probably spend a little bit more time on her. So I'd probably go in and either run portraiture over her or the Color Effects skin smoothing plugin I might run over her just to kind of help with this hair and just add a little bit more evened out skin tone across all their faces. And I run it at a very, very, very light amount so that nobody looks plasticky and not normal. So now if a client comes back to me and they say they want more, I'll give them more at that point. But to start, I always start with a very natural look and then let them tell me if they want extra. This little light pattern right here is bothering me just because the eye always goes to the lightest part of an image. And so my eye just keeps coming down here to this light pattern, which doesn't make much sense. So I'm going to take my spot healing brush to the same size as it, and I'm just going to run it across and see if that helps it. Sometimes we have to run it again. Okay? Remember, when you're editing people, it's always about the woman, the mom, the female. We are the ones that want to be retouched and look our best. Guys, you know, just depending on the guy, they really, sometimes they don't care. And sometimes with them, you know, of course, wrinkles look more distinguished on a man. So the tone, the strength that I will do on a man will be maybe much less than I will on a woman. It's just a fact. All right, so I'm just touching a little bit up here, but I have a feeling that it's just a lost cause right here. the sun's hitting the back of her head. And so what I really should have done is come in and help smooth her hair down um, to make this so that I wouldn't have to Photoshop that later. Now I may pull in and crop this in, like, so let's select the crop tool just to hide this. Pull that down and just kind of hide the messy part. It's totally okay for a tip of a head to hit the crop line. And then now I'm going to show you guys the time saving trick of getting this image back into Lightroom if you do have Lightroom. So all we would do is click File, Save, and what it's doing, if you look up here at the toolbar, is it's saving it back into Lightroom. Uh-oh, I noticed something. I'm glad I'm making all these mistakes with you guys because it's going to show you things that you might do. Or maybe I didn't make a mistake. Let's see. Yeah, I see this little line down here, which makes me think that I left a transparent area on the image. And what that's going to do is it's going to show as a white line at the bottom of the image. So I really should have cropped that better. So let's pull this up a little bit. I have my crop. Oh, well, there's the issue right there. The crop should always be set to original ratio so that it'll match all your other images in post, especially if you are editing a lot of images together. So now, and this is the main reason too why I have my background in Photoshop set to black, because that way I can see if I accidentally cropped something and left a line there. So now I'm going to hit save. We're going to go over to Lightroom and we're going to watch and see that this image has been edited. So here's the unedited version and here's the edited version. So what I'm going to do in Lightroom now is I'm going to delete this one by hitting X. Go up here to Photo, Delete Rejected Photos. And we call it a day. And now we're set up. Sorry, there's my first image of Maggie. Now we're set up. Now that I've pulled it back in Lightroom, I can export out use Lightroom's feature of batch exporting and export all these out at the same time. It's just really hard to edit a lot of images in Photoshop at one time. So I only do a few images in Photoshop because of its capacity. But there are some new plugins now that I found out about that I can share with you guys later that actually do help with batch editing a little bit better in Photoshop. So I'll share those on another video or in another workshop. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys learned something.